The issue of homelessness is a systemic issue. There isn't a homeless community. That's not a homogenous thing, just like there isn't a housed community that's a homogenous thing.
Housing is a basic need and a human right, and part of the problem that we're facing is that we've treated housing like any other commodity when it's just not. It needs to be seen as part of our essential infrastructure, just like roads and bridges and other public accommodations. We really do have an obligation to provide housing that is affordable, or to ensure that it's affordable.
My concern is that there is housing going up on every corner, every block, but how much of it is really not just affordable units, but obtainable units for people with no income or low income or fixed income like Social Security, where people can actually afford to move into any of the developments that are covering our skyline nowadays.
It used to be the shelters was the biggest thing that people can go to, but then families start becoming houseless. People that went to college, we start becoming houseless. Runaways becoming houseless. And so that demographic have changed from where it's not enough room in the shelter.
We've seen a major uptick in families becoming homeless. I mean, it's all devastating to think about what kind of impact that has on people's lives, but I think it's especially tough to think about children being homeless, because that has the potential to impact the rest of their lives.
The demographics has changed from middle age, 45 to 55, to elderly people falling onto the streets because of loss of the Social Security being able to pay for their housing, because they're outpriced, and youth. So the two extremes. We have youth on the street as young as age 12, 13, and we have elderly out in their 70s and 80s, and that is the biggest travesty.
I think we need to start seeing people as people. I believe that race really plays a big part in all of this. A lot of the racial stuff puts people in a position where they're either disqualified from housing because of dominant culture norms. You got to have good credit. You got to have a job that pays a certain amount of income that's proportionate to your rent. You have to have no criminal background record. And a lot of times this disqualifies some people of color with these barriers that are put in place.
Too many people, especially those who are in the houseless spectrum of things, struggle to survive too much. It's like all you can do is survive. There's no thriving. I grew up extremely poor. I mean, like sometimes we were dumpster diving and I didn't really understand what it was like to not be in emergency mode all the time.
I've been personally affected in everything going on with rent in Portland because I struggle month to month, even though my partner and I both make a good amount of income. We don't have a savings, we don't have a buffer. We can't really take sick days or vacation days because we have to make sure we can make rent, and that requires 40 hours a week for both parties. Having a child on top of that, and it eats a lot of money to be a renter. There's not room left for much else besides bills.
No matter what people may say or think, we are humans. We're not just people outside. We created a community, a nice little community of good people, honest, hardworking. I was a director of operations nationwide for a medical equipment company. I've done things, I've seen things, but unfortunately, all that come to an end, and here I am. I left an abusive husband, and I've been outside ever since.
My husband and I came to Dignity Village 9 years ago. I had been in an abusive situation, and to finally escape and not get found by him, I put myself homeless. The village has helped mine and my husband's life in more ways than I could probably even list. But with the help of a good man and the help of a place like Dignity Village, I have built my self-esteem back. It's giving us a place to live. It's giving us a life. We pay our water bill, we pay our garbage bill, our portalets, our electric, our phone. We pay liability insurance. We have a couple of micro businesses. Some of the ways we pay our money, which is the wood and then our metal recycling. When we're doing fairly good in the garden area, we've even sold some plants. Home is to me where I feel safe, where my family, friends, loved ones are, where I lay my head down at night. The safety of being here, being able to lock my door if I want or not lock it, and having my own space, I think is my main thing.
Currently, I'm staying with some friends of mine. I was homeless before for the last 15 years, and I just believe in the concept that it's doing the right thing. I mean, it needs to be done, and a lot of the people wouldn't have lost all. They lost hope. Having been homeless and having been on the fringes of that, I grew up on a farm. If I wanted something, it wasn't handed to me. I had to work for it. And so the self-confidence that you have, having to fend for yourself, basically, or survive, a lot of them had lost that hope. And when they lose that hope and that self-confidence, then that makes it a little harder. And it's a downward spiral.
One of the challenges that we are working on right now are barriers to housing other than affordability, and that is around prior convictions, bad credit, and past evictions.
I'm so pleased to introduce our fair access and renting proposal, a fitting kickoff to April, which is National Fair Housing Month.
We are working on a screening policy that would help some people that have those kind of marks on their records have a better chance at competing for housing. Right now, a lot of people are getting kind of screened out of that rental pool for no legitimate reason, and we want to make sure that that's not happening anymore.
Don't judge a book by its cover. You know what I'm saying? If you don't read the book and find out what's happening inside the book, you ain't gonna know what's going on.
Race perpetuates poverty, race perpetuates health disparities, race perpetuates unemployment disparities, housing, criminal justice, and I think that perpetuates a lot of other economic issues that stem from those disparities that lead to homelessness. Fresh Out Community-Based Reentry Program was started in 2007 to help people who are formerly incarcerated, African American men and women, reacclimate to the community through support, mentoring, and resources. Well, we help people get into housing. We write letters to landlords if someone has a right to remedy. We go talk to landlords if someone needs us to. We connect people to other landlords that other formerly incarcerated prisoners who've been served by us give us the information that this person is felony friendly. And we help them with written assistance. We also help them with counseling, drug and alcohol and mental health services to help keep them in housing once they get there.
Our outreach program is highly successful and has been functioning really well for 26 years, and initially started as engagement with folks and then learning from people on the street that what they need is some move-in cost money. So that's how Join really became a housing program, was it was directed by the folks outside. We've started a landlord recruitment and retention program, and that has focused a lot on education of landlords and helping them be a part of the solution so that they're partnering with us to open access to their units or their homes to really overcome the barriers that oftentimes people face. I would say our day center program as well. It's really about basic safety for folks and access to hygiene. It's highly utilized, and we do mail service for people there. Having an actual physical mailing address is really important for folks to be able to navigate out of homelessness.
Some of the things we do, but we're not limited to, is educating especially houseless people on how to navigate services, where to find support systems outside of Right to Survive that may be more directly in the neighborhood or community that they're residing. Right to Survive has a housing program, the Ambassador program, where we connect houseless neighbors with house neighbors. The idea is getting neighbors to think about, oh, I don't want to see a tent. I don't want to see a person with a backpack, to coming together and finding solutions and understanding that each houseless person's story is unique and it's their own. There's a wealth, a plethora of opportunity out there.
We need to focus on meeting these people where they're at and asking them what do they really want to do for housing. I'd say out of every 10, maybe 2 guys, a lot of those inmates have not done it before, had stable housing. For them to have stable housing and for them to go through our program, they get to have their own key, their own room, something that they can say that is theirs. And then they go and work a job, they save money, and then after 3 to 6 months, they're able to go out and rent a place on their own, and they have some rental history because they have been with us for 3 to 6 months. And that's very important when you're trying to go out and rent on your own.
We pick up food on Fridays and deliver to different camps. And all in all, we serve about 150 people every Friday between myself and a couple other organizations that we deliver food to, supplying with just basics a lot of times, because that's the hardest thing it seems for them to be able to get. Yeah, you can get a lot with food stamps, but you can't get hot meals with food stamps. If you need somebody that needs a hand and you can give it, you give it. That's just the way I was raised. I just call it being human. I mean, I can't go by somebody that needs help and not try to help if I can. There's quite a few people that are homeless themselves that take the food that we deliver and they serve meals to everybody that's in their camp, if you will. Camps average in size from 6 people to 15 to 20 people that they take care of. And so it's not just one person.
Today I'm out here dividing up the food equally between all the homeless people in our little community and make sure everybody gets the equal amount of food because we all deserve to eat. Then they'll have them individually come out and pick up their food, and they're good about that because they like food as much as I do, so, And then after we're all done, I'll clean it all up and wait until next week.
There's a misconception about homeless people too, that they're either weak or they need to just pull themselves up by their bootstraps, but it takes a lot of courage and a lot of perseverance to be homeless and still continue to live day after day in the cold, against all odds, trying to find a place. Landlords are turning you down, looking for food when you don't have money, humbling yourself to go ask people for help. It takes a lot of courage to do that. Most people don't have the resilience or courage to do that. I believe if we help one person at a time, you don't know how many people that one other person can help. Somebody helped me, now I'm helping other people, now other people are helping other people, and we just got to do what we can to try to eradicate homelessness at a grassroots level, and that's what I'm trying to do.
As a community, we can become more engaged. We can see the houseless for who they are as people who have had misfortunes. We can understand that they used to be people like us. They had jobs, they had homes, and they lost them. We can understand that we are sometimes only one paycheck away from that ourselves.
Just start doing like a lot of people are doing. You see a homeless camp and stop and ask them if they need something, and if you can do it, help them. Just start doing that. And more people did that, there would probably be a lot less friction between the homeless and the general public, because most of the general public has a real negative opinion of us, and it's not justified.
Frankly, just learning and talking to people is really impactful. How do we get back to the space of community where we actually know our neighbors, whether they're sleeping inside or outside? Getting to hear and learn their stories can really help people get back to that space of humanizing each other. There are human beings who are stuck sleeping outside with their each own unique and individual stories and life challenges that can be really impactful to learn and connect with, just like you would somebody who's in your neighborhood who's housed.
The tools that people can have to build from are within our arsenal, within our ability, and we can move forward. We can have the Portland that everybody who wants to live here, who has grown up living here, who chooses to come to live here, can live in and thrive and survive.